Welcome once again to Breakfast Central. Let's take the conversation to South Africa, where the South African Tourism Minister and ANC National Executive Committee member, Lindiwe Sisulu, of course, who has a really interesting profile. She's been in government since 1994. She has joined those calling for President Cyril Ramaphosa to step aside from political office over allegations of illegal activities at his Phala Phala farm. This comes after allegations that President Cyril Ramaphosa may have concealed a burglary at his Phala Phala farm in Limpopo.
It is alleged that $4 million, that's approximately 62 million rand, was stolen from the farm, but the theft was never reported to the police until after a month, raising suspicions that the dollars were ill-gotten. The ANC has a policy that those facing criminal charges in court should step aside from their political office while the legal case is being resolved. Now, Sisulu has called for the ANC's December conference to look at a policy to regulate the use of money in the election of the party's leaders, and she said that she intends to put the Phala Phala matter on the agenda. Joining us this morning on Breakfast Central is political analyst Ntsikelelo Breakfast to give us more insight on this discussion. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, we've seen several people calling for him, for the president of South Africa to step down. Of course, we've seen Julius Malema, the president of the Economic Freedom Fighters, or the leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters, asking for him to step down. Many political parties, other members of the ANC calling for him to step aside. Is this likely to happen, or do you see that he will remain in office?
I think it's still early days. I think it must be borne in mind that the timing of the allegations is very much interesting. In as much as on the one hand, I think that the president does have a case to answer because there are gaps in his explanation with regard to what had happened on his farm. On the other hand, I think the timing of the allegations that have been made by ATM is very much interesting. And in my opinion, I think it is meant to influence the democratic outcomes of the upcoming conference of the ANC. So what I'm saying is that I think we need to be open-minded when we examine the issue in question and not be one-track minded or one-sided, because there are a lot of factors here at play. Yes, the step-aside principle of the ANC says that if one has been brought to book, whereby one is made to appear before the court of law, then the step-aside principle must kick in. But at the moment, I think it's still early days because the president has not been charged with corruption. I think if the ANC demands that he steps aside, I think by so doing, they will be playing the cart before the horse. On the other hand, I think the statements by the minister, Lindiwe Sisulu, over the weekend, they must be viewed in the light of the fact that she's on a political mission to become the president of the ANC. It's an open secret that she's on a campaign trail to dislodge the incumbent of the ANC. No wonder she said all the sorts of things that she said. But at the same time, I don't think that it's wrong for party members to demand accountability from the president as a person who ascended to the helm of power on a ticket of good governance.
Well, this will probably be two questions in one. I would like you to go on with where you've just landed now, but also here in Nigeria, Nigerians are used to having their president and vice president, having some, and of course state governors, having some sort of immunity from prosecution. From what I've read, it's not the same thing in South Africa. Yeah. So can you quickly clarify if the Constitution protects President Cyril Ramaphosa, and of course he has some level of immunity from prosecution? That's one. And then also, take us through Sisulu's political history. There are conversations about her ties to former President Jacob Zuma. She's been in government since 1994, different ministerial positions. So share with us what her history might be like, that might give some credence to the claims that she might be running for ANC leadership.
Yeah, so your questions are twofold. On the one hand, you are asking me about whether does the Constitution make a provision to prevent the president from being charged. It doesn't. There's nothing of the sort. So there is no immunity insofar as the constitution is concerned. If the president is out of line, if the president has broken the law, he needs to be brought to book. With regards to Minister Sisulu, she has a background of intelligence. She was in the trenches. I think in the late 70s, she led intelligence operations of the ANC in Swaziland. I think she's more senior to the president of the ANC. No wonder in that interview, she said that if money was not a determining factor, she would stand out. You know, she would stand a better chance of winning against the president. But my view is that there has never been any president of the ANC that has ever ascended to the helm of power without being funded by the business community. So there are a lot of forces that have an interest in the strategic direction of the ANC. So it's not only ANC members that want to lobby for who must be the president of the ANC. Yes, you are right that the minister in question does have strategic relations with former President Zuma. The minister, in the beginning, she was campaigning alone. Then after the Secretary General of the ANC, who is aligned to former President Zuma, was suspended, I think she thought that she was going to emerge as the champion of that faction of Jacob Zuma of radical economic transformation. But she has been let down by those people because former President Zuma has chosen his former wife as opposed to the minister. So former President Zuma has chosen his former wife as the presidential contender that is going to stand on behalf of radical economic transformation, meaning that the minister has been betrayed, the minister has been dealt with a blow.
You know, part of what she had spoken about would be the fact that the men seem to think that presidency or leadership is their birthright and they're entitled to it. So in some way, there was some gender card that was being played there. Do you think that might maybe strengthen her chances? And how would you rate the performance of women in politics and leadership in South Africa?
Yeah. Well, the Constitution does make a provision for the culture of human rights. Yes, we live in a world order where women still bear the brunt of patriarchy. The history of women is the history of oppression. The African National Congress, which is the ruling party, has been on a political mission to promote the issue of transformation in the light of the inclusion of women. But at the same time, it has fallen short in making sure that, the plight of women is taken seriously. But also there are people who are using the issue of gender in pursuit of their political agendas in terms of proximity to power. But at the same time, I think I must acknowledge that we have not seen a lot of women ascending to strategic positions of power in the ANC. More often than not, when women are elected in the top 6 of the ANC, they normally get elected as Deputy Secretary General, not in the key strategic positions. Like they are not normally elected as the President or the Secretary General or the Treasurer. The last woman that was elected as the chairperson was Baleka Mbete. I think that was in 2007. Since then, we have not seen any woman ascending to those strategic positions.
All right, I want us to then now talk about the main issue here, which is the Phala Phala issue, which appears to be the biggest challenge on Ramaphosa's presidency. What do you make of how he handled the scandal so far?
Like I said in the beginning, there is a case to answer. I mean, the president has confirmed that money was found on his farm, money was found under his bed. Now, that begs the question as to how much money was found. Also, there is an issue of foreign currency. Did the president get permission to have that kind of money? on his farm. So those are the sorts of questions that people are grappling with at the moment. And I am personally looking forward to the reports that will be unveiled on that score. For instance, the report of the public protector and also the report of the independent panel. I think those reports will clear the air in terms of what had happened. But at the moment, I think people are just speculating and politicking.
All right. It's a very quickly, we're going to ask you, we have a report that Ramaphosa is due to respond to information that some National Assembly members have submitted to the Section 89 independent panel of experts regarding the Phala Phala scandal. Do you think that this process would reveal something that we already do not know?
I don't want to play the cart before the horse. I think it's still early days. All I can say is that it can go either way. The findings can be for him or against him. There are many possibilities, but also there are political dynamics at play as well here, because the ANC is going to hold its conference just around the corner.
I guess we will just have to keep our fingers crossed and watch how this plays out. Thank you very much, Nsikelelo Breakfast, for joining us this morning on the show.
Thank you very much.